Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is Childcare Rockstar Radio, episode 189, featuring Jon Sieber. Welcome back to the podcast, folks. I am your host, Kris Murray, and I am thrilled to introduce you to an incredible young man. This guy, Jon Sieber, my guest today, is somebody that I met. Well, I'll tell that story in the podcast. So you just have to wait and hear how we met. That's a teaser. But we met recently, a few weeks ago in Chicago, and Jon is the co-founder of Storytime Learning and Storytime Chess, a very innovative early learning and education-based product for kids and adults of all ages, actually, but using it in amazing ways with children 3 to 5 for helping them learn difficult things that you would think that 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds might not be able to do, like play chess in a very innovative, cool, and fun way. So we're going to learn all about that. We're going to meet Jon, hear about him and his 2 little ones, and so much more on this podcast. I titled this podcast, The Power of a Story. I have spoken with y'all many, many times about how important it is to tell your story. And some of you have taken my advice and some of you have not. Many of you have not. Because it usually entails making a video, which is today's way of communicating out to the world via video on your website about your origin story. And if you are brave enough to be one of the few that makes this video with you and your co-founder, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a partner, or maybe it's just you that started this amazing childcare business of yours, is to tell your story or tell it with your leaders. And get in front of a video camera and share what inspired you and what caused you to want to start a childcare center or an early learning center of your very own. So the power of story is an incredible, incredible concept. And we talk about it all in this podcast. And the reason why story works so well is because our brains are predisposed to be engaged by and be sucked into and to lean in when somebody says, "Can I tell you a story?" Because that's how we, as children, were raised, is with the magic and the imagination of a story. And so utilizing that, you can build brands, you can move mountains, you can win wars, you can do any number of things to make a difference in humankind just through the power of a single story. Myself, I am here as always in my podcast studio / home office in the mountains of Colorado in the Roaring Fork Valley, about 45 minutes from Aspen. And if you missed it, at the Childcare Success Summit recently, about 3 weeks ago, we named a new rock star, which is Sister Mercedes. And this is our first person of the cloth, so to speak, to win the Childcare Rockstar Award. And Sister Mercedes brought down the house with her story and shared what she has done as being a member of the Childcare Success Academy and using these tools and techniques and strategies that we teach to grow your business and to make a bigger impact in the world for children and families. And so that's exactly what she and her fellow sisters have done. When they started, she shared from stage that she didn't even know what ECE stood for. So she was hanging out with all of the folks in our tribe and in our community, and then they were all going ECE, ECE, throwing around. And she's like, "What does that stand for?" So from there, she has built a huge amount of success, and I'm very excited. And I just wanted to shout her out because she gets a VIP day with me and with Jennifer Connor this year. She gets a 2-for-1, and we are so excited to host her for a VIP trip, either to Colorado or to Mexico. So very excited about working with Sister Mercedes in a deeper way and working with you in a deeper way. So if you're listening to this and you want to start 2025 out with the tools, the content coaching and community that we offer, and because you've listened to this podcast and you've heard so many amazing people tell their stories of success from being in the academy, it's time now to go to childcaresuccess.com and book a call. Click on the book a call button. You can learn more about coaching with us at the coaching tab there, and you can click on that and watch success stories all day long. But you already know so many if you're a listener to this podcast, because that's a big part of our content, is to inspire you, to give you examples of how your life can be different and how your business can be so much easier and more successful, more than you ever dreamed of. So go to childcaresuccess.com and click on the book a call button and get on a free call with Coach Ben and learn more. All right. One of the key principles we talk about in this podcast is consistency over time equals success. And so if you still are having a struggle in the area of enrollment or in hiring, look at your consistency. Is your team actually using the scripts, using the funnels, using the processes that we teach you to get more leads and then drive those leads into either teacher applicants to teachers or family applicants into enrolled families and enrolled children? So if you focus on those two big areas of your business with consistency over time, you will be successful no matter what's going on in the market. We talk about Jon's entrepreneurial journey. We talk about the curriculum specifically and how ECE programs are using the Storytime Chess and Storytime Learning curriculums, whether they're using it as an enrichment or they're using it specifically as a 10-week summer program with what he calls a sizzle event at the end that parents can watch the kids play chess and be amazed at their progress. And so that's all in this podcast and so much more. And so I want you to stick with me right now. I want you to meet Jon, enjoy this conversation. One of my best episodes, I feel. Really, really good stuff, guys. And the power of story right here on Child Care Rockstar Radio. Let's go. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I am very excited to introduce you to my guest today, Jon Sieber. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Kris. Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm thrilled to have you here. Where are you right now?
I am currently in Brooklyn, New York. I'm calling from my home office, and it's surprisingly beautiful outside for an October day.
Nice. Yeah, we've had a very warm and seasonable fall. It's been lovely. So usually the snow starts flying right around Halloween, and then the kids get grumpy because they have to put coats on their costumes. But so far, so good.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful tree that's turned into a nice orange yellow leaves in my backyard that I'm looking at. That's very beautiful. So we're getting some good action with the trees changing colors.
Awesome. So tell us more about you and what you do related to the field of early childhood education.
Yeah, thanks. So I moved to New York originally to pursue children's theater. I wanted to be Steve from Blue's Clues, if that's not dating me too much.
Mm-hmm.
But like so many other actors and creatives in the city, I found myself bartending, waiting tables to make ends meet while sleeping through auditions because I was waiting tables till late in the evening.
Right.
And a high school friend of mine, we actually started this business, and we started as a chess tutoring company where we would go into individuals' homes and schools and teach children chess through storytelling. That set the stage to our mission and our vision, and that is children are capable of learning big, complex things like chess or coding if you throw out the rule book and you tell them fun, engaging, silly stories and let them discover the rules rather than use rote memorization or rules that they have to stick to.
Right. Wow, that's fascinating. I love how you've come into that journey and into that vision mission. And I can't wait to learn more about how this all evolved. Because then it turned into a curriculum. It's a very widely adopted curriculum in the early childhood education space, because you're with a lot of big companies with 2 to 3, 400 locations in these different organizations. So you're making an impact to a large number of kids right now.
Yeah, we're entering a lot of schools in the New York City school system, both private and public schools here in New York. And a lot of schools outside of the city kind of heard about what we were doing. 3-year-olds shaking hands over a chessboard makes really good media content.
Yes.
Fortunate enough to get featured by some large press outlets, and schools outside of the city said, how can we get this program in our location in Missouri or Colorado?
Right.
We were unable to hire teachers, or didn't want to deal with managing teachers across the country to teach. So we turned it into a curriculum where the same way that I train my teachers or tutors in New York City, we can train teachers, educators, librarians anywhere in the world to deliver our fun, engaging curriculum, which has been a game changer because, as you said, our mission is to get this into the minds of as many children as possible.
Right. I love that. So I'm going to ask you more about to walk us through the process of the storytelling and how that interplays with the games. But before I do, tell us more about you. And we know you're in Brooklyn, but you have little kids of your own. Tell us more about your family.
Yeah. So my wife and I live in Brooklyn. We have a 3-year-old son named Mickey, and I have, let's see, she turned 1 2 weeks ago. I have a 1-year-old daughter, Ruthie Jean, and they are keeping me incredibly busy, as most parents of young ones do. But it's also really exciting because my 3-year-old has started chess this year. We have some retail locations. We have one in Brooklyn that I take him to. And we also have a play group thing that we're working on called Storytime Play Group for sensory and music and learning for infants. And so my one is going to that. And so it's been really special to watch them experience kind of this curriculum that we created. And I taught myself for 12 years, having my son run home from a lesson and say, "Gallop, gallop, step to the side," or tell me a story about his favorite piece. It's been an incredible kind of experience.
I love that. And what is something that's kind of a fun fact or a little known fact about you that not that many people know?
Oh, that's a good question. My go-to when I get asked this question is that I can circular breathe, but that's too boring for you. And I don't play an instrument, so it's kind of worthless. Like, I could hold a note on a trumpet for an hour, but I can't play the trumpet. So
Wow.
the one I go to is I am, according to my family, and I bet every family is like this, I'm a direct descendant. Let's see, great, 7 greats of King George III. So allegedly he married a peasant woman and they had kids, and that's where my family's from. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sure every family has the pauper to prince story in the so
yeah. Well, I didn't know. I was talking to royalty today on the podcast.
There you go, right?
This is cool. This is cool. All right, so let's talk about this connection of the storytelling to having children learn complicated concepts like chess and gaming, or coding rather. You know, how did you happenstance upon this idea in the first place? I guess would be my first question. And then how does it work? Like, just tell us more about how this is introduced to children, and then how the arc of learning develops through this process.
Absolutely. So a bit more of the history. I was in New York performing. One of the co-founders of the company, he was in New York as a jazz. He was a jazz professional, and as you can imagine, jazz players especially young ones, weren't crawling with opportunity. So he asked his professor at New School of Jazz, like, how can I get work at Lincoln Center, for instance? And his professor said, "There's all these old guys that play chess in Washington Square Park, and if you can beat them in chess, you will catch their attention." So he actually took it upon himself to learn and become a really great chess player.
Wow.
And he became so great. He was the head teacher at this famous landmark in New York City called the Village Chess Shop. When a woman came in and asked him, "Can you teach my 3 and 4 year old how to play chess?" He was traditionally teaching through rote memorization and rule following to who you'd expect, like mathematically inclined little boys, tourists, older men. And so this opportunity to teach 3 and 4 year olds was really interesting. But what he didn't realize is he had misunderstood her. She was not looking for lessons for her children. She was the principal of one of the largest preschools in Manhattan, and she was looking for chess lessons as a differentiator for her classroom of 20 or 25 kids.
Right.
So he went in there and started teaching chess the traditional way. This is a piece, it's the king, it moves one step at a time because there's these very specific rules. And immediately, like, the kids were bored out of their mind. They want to know why. Why is there a king? Why are we learning? What is a rule?
Right.
And class after class, he kind of taught this traditional way to this new demographic, and he was failing every single time. So the last class, he walked in and didn't even mention chess, just asked them, "Who wants to hear a story?" They sat down, they crossed their legs, they leaned in, and he told a story about a silly king, a king that is afraid of everything: bees, trees, smelly cheese, even his own knees. And this king lives in a castle made completely out of pillows because he's afraid of everything else. And when he goes outside, the grass looks like it's going to hurt his toes, and the clouds look like they're going to fall and smash his head. So he's really, really scared. He then puts the piece on the chessboard and says, "This is King Shaky. How do you think he moves?" And without ever telling a rule, the children discovered the concept by relating to the story. And they picked him up and they tiptoed him one slow step at a time. And that moment of discovery, where a child hears a story and discovers a rule, is very exhilarating for them. It's very exciting, and this light comes into their eyes. And so built our company off of that. Parents were excited. The teachers couldn't believe that their kids could learn something like that. And so we moved forward to write stories about chess and sportsmanship and strategy, social emotional learning, all the wonderful things that you can get out of playing a game.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's so cool. So this underscores something I've talked about a lot over the years, which is the power of story. And human brains are predisposed to respond and lean into and be, our imagination is captured by story, because we all started out as little kids being engaged with, "Let me tell you a story." And so it's even today with adults, the power of story is one of the most powerful things that you can do as a business owner, as a marketer, as anybody who's trying to make a difference, reach an audience, whatever it is it the power of story. And so this is just very, very cool, Jon, because you guys you discovered it, then you built this whole thing around it, and now you're just, growing leaps and bounds into new ventures, and you're expanding your brand, and you're international. We'll talk about that. But the power of story, I just want the audience to just sit with that for a second and think about how you, as early childhood educators, can use the power of story in your business. Yes, you're using it in your classrooms, no doubt. But how can you use it with your team, with leadership, with engaging teachers, with your customers, with the parents, and, in a bigger way, with the community at large? So I think there's probably an untapped potential here regarding story. So I just wanted to bring that out.
Yeah, we feel that if you look at our company, and it's based on 3 tenets. The first and the strongest is that storytelling is what we think the best vehicle to deliver something. And to your point, whether that's trying to win a sale or motivate a team member. In our case, it's allowing a child to discover something difficult. And well-crafted stories use empathy. They have characters in which people can relate to, which we found is the best way to pull at a child. If you say, "This is a chess piece, it moves diagonal," you've lost the kid. Like they don't even know how to pronounce diagonal. If you say this is a king who is afraid of everything, bees, trees, Timmy, what else is he afraid of? Oh, good answer. He's afraid of lions. There's lions outside. Can you relate to that? And then when you put when you ask them to play that story out on a game, it clicks in a very sticky way. So to your point, we feel very strongly about the powerful tool and the vehicle that is storytelling. And another kind of great thing that you alluded to about storytelling is it's a vehicle that anyone can drive. That was like another big discovery for us. Typically, chess was taught by chess players, and chess players don't are unable to teach 3-year-olds.
Yes.
You have these experts of the game who have devoted 10,000 hours to the intricacies of 64 squares and the mathematical elements on this side. And then on this side, you have 3-year-olds who have applesauce in their shirt and are picking their nose. And the chess experts are afraid of the 3-year-olds because they don't relate, they can't understand and comprehend or be empathetic with them. And the 3-year-olds are terrified of the chess experts because it's a man or woman from Belarus who only knows chess and is yelling at them. And so by crafting and creating a compelling story, teachers can tell these stories, actors can tell these stories, parents can tell these stories. Anyone can now teach these difficult things by driving the story.
Mm-hmm. Love that. So tell us a little bit about how most of your ECE clients are using this day to day in their classrooms. It's 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And is it usually offered as an enrichment or is it woven into the existing curriculum?
Yeah. So the most common method is weaving it into the existing curriculum as an enrichment. And we offer kind of a whole variety of kind of ways to teach this. So there's the storytelling component. You can do that in circle time or the beginning of the day. We have kinesthetic part to our curriculum called chessercises, where you're acting and role playing like the piece. So if you're a fast piece like the queen, you might run quickly across the classroom. If you're the scared king tiptoeing, you might wiggle your hands and buckle your knees and tiptoe across the classroom. And so you can do those in outside during recess or playtime. And then we have gameplay. This is where we're rolling out the chess set and we're actually playing with chess pieces or backgammon pieces. And this is great for transitions. A lot of schools will use this as an in-between offering. And so when it weaves really nicely into curriculum. However, we do have a lot of schools that use it as like an after-school enrichment offering, where either members of the schools or other members of the children in the community can come and sign up for chess classes. And then where this is does really well is summer programming. It's a 10-week summer curriculum with a sizzle event at the end. So parents can come, they can see that their kids learned a skill like chess. They can do a chess day where the kids either tell a story about their favorite piece or show how the pieces move. And then we coach clients to do what's called a play date, or it's a chess tournament where a bunch of 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds will play against each other. They'll shake hands, they'll win the medals, and it's just a really fun kind of visual experience.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned before we started the record button that you also have a related business in China. So obviously Chinese families and Chinese parents, very, very, very interested. Like you also mentioned Belarus. So there's this whole Eastern European and Asian influence of these people that are so passionate about chess. Right.
Yeah.
So talk more about how you've got different brands or what you're doing internationally.
Yeah, so we have we have tutors that operate in Hong Kong, and then we have a physical education center in Singapore, and we also do work with a bunch of school partners in Singapore. We work with Department of it's not called the Department, the Ministry of Education schools in Singapore, yeah, we do a lot of private lessons there as well, and at first when we pondered moving over to a country like Singapore, which is heralded for their education system and their outcomes based kind of learning, we were optimistic but cautious about whether or not we'd be able to have an impact there. But what we've discovered is that the fun element of what we offer kind of comes through, and parents, regardless of if they're in the United States, Eastern Europe, and Asia, if they can offer their children something that is very fun, that their kids love to do, that still ties back to critical thinking, executive function, social and emotional learning outcomes, it's a win-win-win across the board, regardless of where you are geographically. And so it's been going gangbusters in Asia. We're excited to continue to grow out there. We just signed a partner in Dubai, actually, who's going to offer our lessons there as well. And so kids are kids everywhere. They love stories, and
Yeah.
when you learn something impactful,
hmm
parents are generally really excited about that.
Love it. So how many total employees do you guys have in your company? Just looking for the numbers of like how big you are and where you're headed.
Yeah, so overall employees across the United States and Asia, we're looking at probably around 50 employees.
Okay.
And then, we have an army of tutors. So in New York, we have anywhere between 150 to 200 tutors. And then Los Angeles and San Francisco, we have, contracted tutors as well. And we work with, just like who I was when I moved to New York, we tend to work with, in the tutoring business, actors, actresses, creatives, people who are looking to have a fun, meaningful job to help pay their bills. That's not, bartending or waiting tables, something that keeps them up super late, that allows them to pursue their creative endeavors. So we still kind of follow that model, and when we staff private tutoring or lessons in our retail locations, and they're just great people to work with.
Love it. And do you have a approximate number of how many preschool locations that you are in
Um,
total?
yeah, we work with probably I would say 450 to 500 preschools across the
Nice.
country. Yeah,
Okay.
you mentioned some of the large chains.
Yeah.
We also work with a lot of libraries. Um, and one of the cool things that we did, and we haven't done this recently, but I'm really excited about it, is we work with retirement homes, not retirement homes, nursing homes,
Yep.
where we teach literally the same curriculum. We come in, we tell the story-based learnings to the old people that are at the home, and then
Yep.
we partnered with daycares and done a play date where a 3-year-old will come sit across from literally a 95-year-old, and they'll play chess with one another. And it's one of the most magical
Oh,
things that you've ever seen. These two individuals in completely different ends of their lives coming together over a common language that is something like playing chess, and meeting each other with respect and shaking hands, and the joy that it creates it's amazing. So
wow.
our curriculum is truly for anyone that likes the story. We hear it all the time. People say, I don't know how to play chess. I never learned. It's okay. Just read a silly story to your child or your classroom, and you can learn alongside of them.
I love that. My journey is exactly that. My boyfriend partner plays, and I never learned, and so he's like, "You need to learn chess." So apparently, I'm going to be picking up your curriculum, Jon, for myself.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I'll give you lessons, and we'll hide it from him, and then we'll get you really good.
Yeah.
Just casually be like, I don't know, how does this piece move? Boom, checkmate.
Oh my God, I love this. This is happening. So I want to ask you about your entrepreneurial journey, since you came from the background of being an actor and probably not knowing a lot about business. But before I do, I want to tell a story to
Yes.
our listeners/viewers. The story of how Jon and I met, which is a great story. So about 3 weeks ago in mid-October in Chicago on the South Loop, a block and a half away from the Marriott Marquis Hotel, where we hosted the Child Care Success Summit 2024. I was at the Academy party, which was the most amazing, crazy, best DJ, best food party that we've ever thrown for our Academy members. And I basically sneaked out of my own party. My boyfriend and I just weren't feeling it. We danced one dance, we made the rounds, had a cocktail, and we were like, let's ditch this place. So we sneak out, we go upstairs, we change into jeans, and we wander down to the local pizza joint because we got to have a slice of Chicago pie. And we sit at the bar, and lo and behold, these two guys in their very casual clothes, t-shirts and jeans, I don't know, pajama pants, kidding, were sitting next to us, and we just started chatting. And then we found out that you were a sponsor in our exhibit hall, and we learned all about your business, and you learned about us, and we just totally hung out and had some beers and had a great time. And that's the story of how we met.
Yes, it was yeah, and it was dark in there. I didn't. I was like, "What are you guys here for?" You're at the conference. I was like, "The early childhood one." You're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Like, oh, are you a vendor? You're like, "No, I'm." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot."
No, I'm Kris Murray, the creator and founder of the summit. And you were like, sorry. But yeah, and I didn't even look, like I was dressed super casual. And anyway, yeah. I love that story. So I loved, because it ended up just being so this amazing serendipity, that we had this great connection and have you on the podcast because I love what Storytime represents. I love the brand. I love the power of story. And apparently I'm going to love chess very soon. So there's a reason why. And I just had the feeling. And then I was like, oh, this is why we came here, because we needed to meet Jon, and your partner / buddy was there. What's his name? Let's give him a shout out.
Doug for me. Shout out Doug.
Doug. Yeah. Doug is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you that were at the summit, you probably wandered by the Storytime Learning booth, and hopefully, because I know you got some new clients out of it, which was great, and just made friends and made contacts, which is great. So let's talk. Go ahead.
I have to interrupt you and just compliment you. And this is not me kissing up to you here. I go to a lot of education conferences. We interact with a lot of people from NACCE to the individual school conferences. The individuals, both your staff and the people who attend your conference, were some of the nicest, kindest, most engaged people that I've met in the ECE space. So your level of kindness, your enthusiasm, your energy is present to everyone involved in your organization. And it was our first time there, and it will not be our last. It was just such a wonderful experience. And so truly, everyone was very, very incredible to work with and be around. So,
well, thank you.
Big props to you and your team.
Appreciate that so much. Yeah, my team is a rock star team, and they definitely go above and beyond to try to make sure that all of our sponsor partners are happy. And we try to do the best we can to drive tons of traffic to the exhibit hall, because we know it's not easy. I've been there. When I started out, Jon, I was schlepping stuff that was branded. I had this crazy exhibit backdrop thing with all of these, I had to put all this stuff together, and I was like schlepping this huge exhibit piece with me and checking it as luggage, and then sweating as I'm throwing it in the cab. And I don't even know, there was Uber back then. And so it was just like, I get it, because when you go to those conferences, and I was totally doing that early days to build my business from small, low six figures to mid. And it's not necessarily a fun thing if you don't get any traffic and you're just sitting there and it's crickets. It's a tough place to be. So I'm just glad that you were there, and I'm glad that we met over pizza and beer, and here we are.
It's so funny.
So talk a little bit about that with regard to your entrepreneurial journey. How long has this company been in business? And talk about where you started, kind of some of the lessons, one or two of the key lessons that you've learned as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, great question. The business was first incorporated in 2011. So it's been around for a while. It started as a tutoring brand. Just myself and my partner were going into people's homes, and that's ultimately how it grew. I was a philosophy major in college, and my dad gave me a really hard time with that. He's like, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "I don't know, put reason behind. Would you like fries with that?" Was my best guess. I didn't know what I was going to do with philosophy. I enrolled in law school, and my brother was finishing med school at the time. And he's like, "Are you sure you want to be a lawyer?" And I was like, "I don't know. It just seems like what I should do." He's like, "Don't go into school and get all that debt if that's not what you want to do." So, was not planning to be an entrepreneur. Didn't go through any of the entrepreneur stuff. Have no formal business training. And so, the lesson, the two things that define who I am as a business owner and individual is, you have to show up and be and think positively. You can't get in a negative headspace, even when bad things are happening. And we built the ship, built the plane while we're flying it, and you hit a lot of turbulence. But you have to show up, you have to schlep, you have to be positive, and you find yourself. It was certainly not my intention to meet you at that pizza place. As you could tell by how we were dressed, uh, we were just there to hang out. But you meet people and you have to be positive and optimistic and believe in what you do. And if you approach things with eternal optimism and the ability to show up day after day, you will expose yourself to enough surface area that you will start getting quote unquote lucky. But luck is just the increase of amount of surface area you're exposing yourself to and the positive
Mm.
have. The second thing is, and it's very much, you probably can see it, like power of habit, atomic habits, just consistency over time equals success. And I don't care who you are or what you're trying to do, with the exception of some rare outliers. If you're trying to lose weight, start a business, be a performer, consistency over time equals success. And if you put in the hours and you do the thing every single day, quit thinking about it, quit talking about it, show up and do the thing, you're going to win. And you have to be consistent about it though, because a lot of people do the thing and then stop. And if you set your goals and then with that hit a streak, hit 100-day streak, hit a 2-year streak, hit a 4-year streak, and that consistency will 100% pay off. I believe that in almost everything.
Yeah, it's like compound interest. It's like when you're putting money in your stock account or your bank account in a consistent basis over time, that compound interest, when you look at the curve, it's insane how it's just showing up every day consistently over time. Ooh,
Yes.
and you're gonna get that. You're gonna hit it. But
So,
you're gonna also need to like do some pivoting, like
100%. Yeah.
like, oh, I keep hitting my head against this particular wall. What can I do to like go around it and find a way, through it or a different
Yes.
way?
Yeah. And I don't mean to like, you definitely need a good strategy and a good plan. If you can't just mash your head against a keyboard and expect great results, you have to have a good strategy. But if you can line up, okay, if it's sales, I have to call this many people every single day. If it's marketing, I'm going to post this many things. If it's whatever it is, if you have a set goal and a defined amount of things that you can do every day to achieve that, show up every single day and do it, and you'll get it done.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Tell me about a time, maybe in this entrepreneurial journey, specifically when you did hit an obstacle, you had a big, challenging situation and how you overcame it.
Yeah. The one that comes to my mind is the first time we expanded to Southeast Asia. On paper, there's a lot of interested parents there. There's a lot of money there. They are really obsessed with educational outcomes. It all makes sense. And then when you start building it, you realize, okay, there's a 12-hour time difference. So your 10 o'clock calls are 10 o'clock morning for them. They're a day ahead. And it starts to become very challenging really quickly. You throw little kids into the 3-year-old and 2-year-old kids into the mix, it becomes really challenging. And so the way we overcame that is we hired the right people for the right seats. So our operator in Southeast Asia is the definition of an all-star. She is so incredibly talented and capable, and someone I am learning stuff from every single day. And she took that market, took over what needs to get done and how to do it, and has built it and grown it. And so I think one of the ways that we this in this particular example we're able to overcome the obstacle is letting go of this specific thing and trusting a capable person to manage it for you, training them, teaching them, and then trusting that they will kind of take it forward. So that's the one that came to my mind, because it's pretty new and pretty raw. But
Yeah.
finding
Yeah.
good people is huge.
Yes. 100%. Love that. Where are you headed in what we have left in 2024, and what's going on for you in 2025? Do you guys have any big goals, or where are you trying to take the company next?
Yeah, so we're going to continue to develop our tutoring outlets throughout the country. We're launching San Francisco currently, where we'll have tutors available. But as far as the working with the ECE centers and licensing and training other teachers, we're doing a lot of great stuff there. We just published a white paper about the outsized educational outcomes that can come from storytelling tied with gameplay, tied with family engagement. That if you tell a kid a story, you back it up with them playing a fun game, and then get the parents involved to reinforce that, the educational benefits are massive. And we proved that, we showed that, we collected a bunch of research around that. So we're going to be trying to get that into as many people's hands and get exposure to that as much as possible. And you can read that. I'd be happy to share that with anyone. We're also going to be correlating our curriculum to CEUs, so teachers can actually receive credits for learning our methodology and implementing our program. So we're really excited about that. Teachers already really love our curriculum. It's different, it's fun, it's telling silly stories. But if they can also receive some sort of continuing education credit or receive a mark for what they need for their CEs, we think that'll be a big win for us as well. Other than that, we're going to continue to develop more games. We have a whole bunch of other fun curriculum coming out that we're working on, and so just finding challenging things that kids need to learn and tying them to silly stories.
I love it. And I'm looking forward to checking out this curriculum. What my blocker in my brain for learning chess has always been forgetting the rules, because there's so many different rules for all the pieces. And I wasn't playing often enough to get the rules to actually stick in my head. So then I would just like say, oh, forget it, and just walk away.
Yeah.
But I think again, back to the power of story is using that to embed it. The connection points to the characters in the story, to the rules of the game, is I think what makes it, that's what enables the brain to make those connections.
Yeah.
And different, and now new neural pathways are going to start developing. Yeah. So I'm excited to actually be a guinea pig in this journey. So this is very cool. So if people want to learn more, where do they go? Give us your website, or how do they find this white paper, et cetera? How can people learn more and get started?
Yeah. So everything is on the website. For the licensed product where we sell the ECs is teachstorytime.com. Teachstorytime.com is where you can find more information about what we do. And also on the upper right side, there is a link to download and read the research. I got to give a shout out to the research team, Lee Scott, Dr. Jen Gibson, and Dr. Deb Weber came together and just put together an incredible white paper showing what the research says about what we feel is important: gameplay and storytelling.
Nice. I love it. Love it. Jon Sieber, thank you so much for being here on the podcast today. This was an incredible episode. And any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
I need to know what's your favorite game? Do you have a game that you love to play?
You know, I do have several. I have a fond place in my heart for Uno.
Okay.
Because we would take it on camping trips with our kids because our kids love to play. So that with me and my children. But the other one related to the same scenario is Scrabble. I'm a huge word geek. So I was playing online Scrabble on my phone, and then I got a little bit too obsessed with it. So I had to disconnect. So I'm not doing currently, and I'm not doing Wordle because I know that I will be again completely obsessed because I love words. I'm a total word geek. I love spelling. I love new words. So Scrabble, and I usually would win. I would usually win that game against my family members because I can play a mean game of Scrabble, but we would take it again camping. We would have the Coleman lantern turned on late at night and playing Scrabble or playing around the campfire. So yeah, good memories. How about you? I mean, is chess your favorite game?
I must admit, I do like chess. I actually prefer backgammon to chess.
Uh-huh.
I think backgammon's a wonderful game because there's variance, and so I'm not the best chess player in our company. There's a lot of really great chess players in our company, and I can't beat them because they're just better than me. But although there's better backgammon players, the dice can get hot for me, and I can beat them there. And
Nice.
really great opportunities for emotional learning in backgammon because you can be better than me, but I can roll better than you, and you have to deal with those emotions. So
I love that.
I also really love poker. I think poker is a great game, and
Yeah.
there's a woman named Jenny Just who runs an organization called Power Poker, who's made it her life work to teach little girls specifically executive function skills and navigating boardroom scenarios by teaching little girls how to play poker. So she's doing amazing work.
Wow.
She is a powerhouse and a force. I love poker and think it's an incredibly valuable game to learn as well.
That's very cool. I love that. Well, thank you so much again for being here. This is a great episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the podcast, and we will see you all next time. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you liked this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. If you did, please leave a review and share it with someone you know to help spread the word to friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, I've got a new video training that shows you how to add 6 figures or more of new revenue to your program in the next 60 days by improving your hiring and your enrollment systems. To watch my new video, just go to www.fixmyschool.com. That's fixmyschool.com. Thanks. Take care and God bless.